On a beautiful spring night with blooming flowers, softly illuminated by the streetlights, I attended the welcome party for the new employees. A woman, sitting next to me asked,
"What type of women do you like, John?"
her name is Lily Smith. She's a 22-year-old new hire. Her hairstyle, with her bangs pulled back, makes her look more mature than her age, and she's quite a beauty. I'm John Williams, a 45-year-old, single and ordinary employee. Far from being handsome, I have an unremarkable face, a chubby body with a protruding belly, and my hair has been thinning. My biggest concern is my short stature. No woman in the company had ever talked to me. Therefore, when that young, cute girl in her 20s asked me what type of women I liked, I was surprised and flattered as I answered her question. Someone cheerful and kind. Young girls have a lot of energy, which is nice. As I said that nervously, Lily smiled shyly and said,
"Is it okay if she's much younger?"
That conversation was the trigger that made me start noticing her. On the way home from the welcome party, we took the same bus for part of the way, and talked a lot. Lily mentioned that she liked older men. Listening to her, I realized she had a very serious personality and solid thinking. She didn't have any of the typical lightheartedness of youth. Perhaps because of that, she seemed to find men of her own age unreliable and unsatisfactory. She also said, most of her friends were older. Since then, Lily and I became closer, often talking during work, and I helped her with things she didn't understand. If you add a graph to this document, it will be easier to understand. Just click here to make one quickly.
Got it. I'll give it a try. Oh, you've been explaining for a while, are you thirsty? I'll go make some coffee.
She always interacted with me cheerfully. Her smile was very charming, making me like her more and more. One day, I gathered my courage and invited Lily to dinner. I was nervous about being rejected, but she readily agreed. I chose a stylish pub that wasn't too fancy so that she wouldn't feel pressured. I had beer, and Lily had a margarita, and we enjoyed our meal and conversation. Even though there was a significant age gap between us, we had a lot in common, including our favorite movies. Our conversation never stopped, and the time flew by. She seemed to have fun the whole time, smiling brightly. As we walked to the bus stop on the way home, Lily said to me,
Would you go out with me?"
"What did you say?" I couldn't believe my ears. I had never thought a plain, unattractive middle-aged guy like me would ever be confessed to by a woman, what is more, by such a young and cute girl. It didn't seem real, and it felt like a dream. Of course I said yes without hesitation. Is this really happening? I wondered. I pinched the skin on the back of my left hand with my right hand, where she couldn't see. Ouch. That means, that was real. No doubt about that. For someone who had never been popular, Lily became my first girlfriend. I wondered what she saw in me, such an unremarkable-looking guy. She told me she fell for my kind and serious personality, and how much fun it was being with me. From then on, every day felt like heaven, and everything seemed bright and shining. Even if life is tough, if you work hard and live sincerely, good things will eventually come your way. I truly believed that. Soon, the fact that Lily and I were dating became known in the company, and everyone was very surprised. Some people whispered behind our backs, calling us a beauty and the beast, and saying we were an odd couple, but I didn't mind. The guys who admired her were jealous of me. Our relationship progressed smoothly, and a year later, I proposed to her. Lily, I know I'm not much, but Will you marry me?
Yes. With pleasure.
She said, crying with joy. The following weekend, I took her to my parents' house to introduce her.
I can't believe such a lovely girl is willing to be with our son. It brings tears to my eyes, huh?
Yeah, truly. Thank you, Lily. I hope you will be happy with him.
My parents were very happy and welcomed her warmly. On the way back from my parents' house, I talked with Lily, holding her hand. Next, we need to visit your parents. I guess I should dress a bit younger.
You're fine just the way you are.
She smiled brightly at me. However, the following day, Lily said something shocking.
We need to break up.
What happened? Why? That's so sudden. I was stunned and asked for the reason, and she began to speak weakly.
Last night, I called my parents and told them about the marriage. And they objected.
Her parents, especially her father, were strongly opposed to our marriage. The reason was our age difference, which was understandable. That might be unavoidable, as we are 23 years apart. Lily mentioned that her parents are younger than me. If my only daughter wanted to marry a man older than me, I'd surely be worried too. She cried, saying that if her father opposed, she couldn't marry me.
So, I think it's better if we break up. You should find someone else you can marry.
No way. I thought. I don't want to believe that I couldn't marry Lily. I love her so much. I can't imagine marrying anyone else. I definitely don't want to break up. I'll never give up. I comforted her and said, please, just let me meet your father. I want to show him that I'm serious about this. If we meet and talk, he'll understand.
But my father doesn't want to meet you. He's very stubborn, and even if you meet, he probably won't approve of our marriage.
She said that with tears in her eyes, looking down. I desperately tried to persuade her. Don't give up. You want to be with me too, right?
Of course, I want to be with you. But it's impossible. I can't go against what my father says.
She started crying again. Lily, please don't cry. Let me meet your father. We won't know unless we try. I'll do my best to convince him. Let's believe in even the slightest chance. I caressed her back, and after a while, she finally stopped crying and said,
Okay. I understand.
A few days later, on Sunday, we decided to visit her father during the day when he was home, without notifying him in advance. When we arrived at her house, she unlocked the front door and went inside. I followed right behind her. She called out to her father, who was in the living room.
Hi, Dad.
Lily, what are you doing here without any notice?
He asked, turning around in surprise. Lily replied.
I brought someone I want you to meet.
Following her, I stepped into the living room. My palms were sweating from nerves. Hi, nice to meet you. I'm sorry for the sudden visit. My name is John Williams, and I'm dating Lily. I managed a smile at her father. Then I met his gaze directly. I was prepared to be punched if it came to that. My entire body tensed up. However, he just looked at me with wide eyes, clearly shocked. Then he shouted.
Wait a minute. Is that you, Johnny? Johnny, right?
He grabbed my shoulders and stood in front of me. I stared at him in surprise. My mind was racing. Then, memories from my childhood gradually came back to me. At that moment, I noticed the scar on his forehead and was startled. I remembered. That face was. Are you, Mike?
Yes, Johnny. Long time no see.
Wow, how have you been? We hugged each other tightly. Mike was my childhood friend. He used to live nearby. When we were kids, he was often bullied in elementary school, frequently targeted by classmates. I used to help him out. The first time we met was also like that. Mike was surrounded by 4 or 5 boys who were hitting and kicking him with sticks. I yelled at them.
Stop it.
But they ignored me and kept attacking him. I stepped in between them and Mike, taking the blows myself. I swung my fists to fight back, but I was no match for them. After they were satisfied, they ceased their attack and finally left. Both Mike and I ended up with big scars on our foreheads. From that day.
Are you okay? Does it hurt?
When I asked him, he replied,
I'm okay. Thanks for helping me. But why did you protect me?
I can't just ignore someone in trouble.
I answered. That was something my father had always taught me. He had always said,
If you see someone in trouble, help them out.
that had become second nature to me. That day, I took Mike home and treated his wounds. From then on, we started playing together. I was his only friend. Mike came from a single-parent household, and his mother was always working late. He often spent time at my house, and frequently joined us for dinner. Both Mike and I were only children, so it felt like I had gained a brother. We did homework together and shared snacks. In summer, we went to the pool and have barbecue parties in the yard. In fall, we dressed up and went to Halloween parties. In winter when it snowed, we made snowmen. I shared many happy memories with him. However, just before I started middle school, I had to move because of my father's job transfer. When I told Mike about that, he cried.
Johnny, who am I going to play with if you are gone? I'm going to miss you.
You'll be fine, Mike. You'll surely make new friends.
I said, patting his shoulder. Although I promised to write letters, our correspondence only lasted a few times. I remember one of his letters mentioned, he had made friends with a new kid who transferred to his school. Mike was probably getting along well with his new friends. I was also busy adjusting to my new environment. We continued exchanging Christmas cards for about 10 years, but that eventually stopped too. I think his last card mentioned he got married. I can't believe Lily's dad is Mike. What a surprise.
I was just as shocked.
We laughed and patted each other on the shoulder. Lily watched us with a surprised expression.
Have a seat. Let's have a drink tonight.
Mike gestured for me to sit. Lily and I sat across from him. His wife brought out beer from the kitchen, and Mike led the toast.
All right, let's toast to my reunion with Johnny, and to Johnny and Lily's engagement. Cheers.
Wait, Mike. You approve?
Of course. I know what kind of person you are, Johnny. You may not have been particularly great at studies or sports, but you were always incredibly kind, just, and sincere. I trust you with my daughter. Age doesn't matter at all. I realize now.
I'm so glad, thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Dad.
Lily said, crying with joy. That night, Mike and I reminisced about old times over drinks. 6 months later, Lily and I had our wedding. Both of our families attended and celebrated with us. Lily looked stunning in her wedding dress. She was almost too good for me. Before the ceremony began, Mike told me,
From today, we're going to be in-laws.
Yeah. Nice to meet you, Dad.
Please, don't call me Dad.
Mike laughed. Reuniting with an old friend like this and becoming family felt strange yet wonderful. Besides, next to me was my beloved wife. I'm so happy, I murmured, and Lily smiled brightly.
I'm happy too.
She was smiling and caressing her belly. A new life was growing inside her.
I can't wait to meet this baby. I want it to be as happy as we are.
Yeah, let's be happy together, the three of us. There was a time when I thought our marriage would never happen, but I never imagined that would turn out like this. Mike also admitted, he regretted being too harsh on his daughter. He promised me that with his daughter's marriage, he would let go and not be overly protective. He said he felt relieved, knowing he could trust me with her. Today's sky is a bright, clear blue, a stark contrast to the rain from the previous days, as if even the sky is celebrating our new beginning.